So, can you tell me a little bit about, how are you feeling about this as a veteran, someone that I trust, someone that I really care for? How do you feel about the status that we are in right now, the division in this country?
Well, I'm glad you asked one. I, like you, I am worried. I'm seeing things today that I never, ever thought that I would be seeing.
Do you think this division is being caused by just the media, the political party, or one particular party, both of them? Or is there like a global entity that we don't know that is actually pushing division, such as in our universities, children are getting brainwashed? What do you think is happening?
I think it's a little bit of everything, to be honest.
How
Yeah.
do how do most veterans feel about all this thing? Do they feel similar to you and I?
And what I see now is about 99% of veterans, they see what's going on and it's hurtful.
Manny, a few years ago, I did a video. I don't know if I took it down or not, but I did a short video. In that video, I say Donald Trump will not be president again, after he lost the 2020 election. I
Okay.
say he will not be president again unless God is predestined that he will be president again, because they will do this is before everything that's happened this year and last year happened. The Department of Justice and DNC or whatever in the media, they will do whatever they can to stop that from happening.
Yes.
But I had no idea how bad it was gonna get. And that's my opinion. So I like to get your perspective on that.
That's a little worrisome because if they can do things that they've done to that gentleman unjustly, can you imagine? And they have already done a lot of stuff that is just not right to other citizens of this country. But if they can do it to him in broad daylight in the media, that should worry everybody.
Welcome to Veterans for Unity, Voices of Valor. I'm Juan de Dios Collado, and today I have the honor of introducing a very special guest and dear friend. We served together in the Navy from 1992 to 1996 in the VF-211 Squadron and on board the USS Nimitz. Today we're here to share our story, more to hear about his story, but also to discuss the importance of unity and freedom, things that every veteran holds dear. So join me in welcoming my dear friend, Gamaliel Manriquez. Manny, dear
Yes.
friend, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. I can see that the years have been very favorable with you. You look very
Oh,
well.
thank you. I swear to you that I don't have any filters on.
All in general, you look very well.
Thank you. So I'm glad that we have been able to keep this connection going. You are actually someone who I hold very dear because of many things, especially, I was actually just getting to this country. I got to this country in 1987. When I joined the Navy, I could hardly speak English. I mean, I still have a hard time with that. But when I joined the Navy, it was all new to me. Going on a carrier, everything was a whole new adventure for me. And finding someone like you was really helpful because I have to, looking back at it now, I had a lot of fear and anxiety of everything that was to come. Someone from the country in the Dominican Republic to go on board a carrier, the USS Nimitz, with so many people. Everything was new. So when I met you, our squadron, VF-211, it was really a blessing for me, and I really thank you. You have no idea how much I appreciate your friendship, especially back then when I was going through loneliness, homesickness.
Yeah.
And it was everything was new for me. And like I said, I even had fear of if people were going to understand what I was saying. Just like in boot camp, I remember I had someone, a company commander, that had a hard time understanding what I was trying to say to him. So having you to take me under your wings, I was really appreciative. I got to share a home cooked meal with you, with you and Letty, and also with your mother in your hometown, which I'm not going to mention because of privacy. But I really appreciate that, and thank you so much. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your service, for fighting for the freedom of this country, and thank you for your friendship.
No, no, no thanks. No thanks needed. You were a great person. You still are a great person, and it wasn't just a duty. It was much more of a friendship that we had, and I appreciate you too. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you, thank you. And with you and a lot of my other friends over there, we got to cross the border to Tijuana to Mexico, and we got to really learn the flavor of the Mexican cuisine. And
Yes.
it's still one of my favorite food in the whole wide world. I got used to the spicy food, and I love Mexican food. And since I met you too, I have got to meet a lot of Mexican friends, especially at church. So it has been great, and I'm glad that we are still connected. But let's go ahead and start talking about, many. I have a lot of worries about the future of this country. For the first time, I would say that even 10 years ago, I didn't have the concerns that I have for the future, for the freedom of this country, for freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is the most concerning things for me, because look, I come from a third world country. Although my country of origin, the Dominican Republic, has not gone recently through any turmoils like we see in Venezuela and Cuba and other countries, but that could happen to any country. And I'm really afraid for the future of this country for the first time. And with a little bit of fear because of the censorship and freedom of speech being at risk, I wanted to do this to have this kind of discussion with veterans, because veterans, you were willing to put your life in the line to fight for the freedom that this country represents.
Yeah.
And I really haven't had any negative experience in this country. And the American experience with me, even when I was abroad in the Dominican Republic when I was a young boy, whenever I met Americans, it was really always a good experience. So for me, it's kind of easy to fall in love with what this country represents. I know nothing is perfect, and I'm not perfect. So that's why, if I'm not perfect, I can never expect this nation or this country or any country for that matter to be perfect. So can you tell me a little bit about, how are you feeling about this as a veteran, someone that I trust, someone that I really care for? How do you feel about the status that we are in right now, the division in this country?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Juan. I, like you, I am worried. I'm seeing things today that I never ever thought that I would be seeing. Um, there's a lot of turmoil, chaos, and there's a lot to worry, especially for my. I worry for my children, and I worry for our youth. I worry for our military. Um, it's not going to be easy. Uh, Unfortunately, these things that we see, um, there's really just there's nothing to do but to press forward. I will speak a little bit of what of how I feel. Um, these things that we're seeing, the acts of people, just uh, the rebellious nature that we have, it's not new. Unfortunately, it's just uh, more in abundance. I'm going to use the word that kind of describes that what we see more. But it is something that has been predicted. And I'm going to use the biblical aspect of prophecy, but I'm having a hard time trying to find my words. But I think the easiest way to say is that what we see now is just a manifestation of really our the evilness that human people can be, and it's sad because we turn to our own conveniences and our own needs and wants, and we don't care about our fellow men anymore. Um, the golden rule has been thrown out the window, and that's what we're seeing.
Do you think this division is being caused by just the media, the political party, or one particular party, both of them? Or is there like a global entity that we don't know that is actually pushing division, such as in our universities, children are getting brainwashed? What do you think is happening?
I think it's a little bit of everything, to be honest. Well, maybe I should rephrase that. It's a lot of a little bit of everything. Um, what we have is not just the United States, but in the whole world. You have the division of families, the corrupted, the corrupting of thinking that one parent is good, fathers being absent. The statistics say that any family that doesn't have a father, God knows what the children end up doing. Um, that has been widely known for many a year. And then you add the takeaway of morals, where children grow up with no morals and no boundaries and uh, no structure. That does nothing but to harm the family, and then the community suffer, and the list goes on and on. So, to me,
Do you think social media have a
absolutely,
lot to do with that? Because now we don't have total control over children. I mean, we never did, but it was limited in a way. Right now, social media is being they get exposed to all kinds of crazy ideas.
social media is a lot to blame, along with the parents, I guess you can say. But there has to be boundaries of everything. Um, I'm a firm believer that everything in excess can kill you. Even water in excess will kill you. So if you have all these avenues of social media and even propaganda that we see nowadays, you feed all that to a growing mind, a child, and what do you have in the future? You have monsters.
You know, I always say that it's like the enemy learned from a saying that you have like the first 10 to 12 years to mold your children
Yes,
the way you want to mold them. And now they want to go as early as possible to teach them, to grab them and train them to love different agendas that are usually not American or traditional American values or family values. Do you agree or do you have a different perspective on that?
that is a reflection of what the socialist countries have been doing for ages. They get them while they're young. They impose all their ideas, and it's almost like um, a mind wash, if you will.
You mentioned the word socialist, and it is actually a Marxist thing to actually push as hard as they can. They kind of say that in their Bible, the Marxist book, it is their thing to say push
Yes.
beyond logic to get what you want, and don't stop. When you push so hard, you get halfway, but then you keep pushing beyond logic, and that's what we see right now, and people don't understand, and it's really hard for me to see people come from North Korea, from China, and Venezuela and Cuba, and they speak up that they see the same signs that started over there. In
Let me
America, it seems to be not listening to their warnings.
let me add something in there, that you struck a chord. Maybe it's not that they don't understand. It get to the point where, regrettably, they don't care. It
Hmm.
becomes all about themselves. It's very easy to please yourself. You do what you want, and you don't care who you hurt, and it's basically being what they call narcissistic. So whenever you have those feelings where it's all about you, it's all about me, and everything else is secondary, then you grow up like I'm just going to use a word like a 2-year-old on steroids. because you're a grown man thinking that you can get everything you want, and there's no uh, repercussions to your actions. And so what you have is I have a society that it's all about pleasing yourself, and that's how we as a nation, we are so addicted to everything, to foods, to drugs, to media, games, and we forget about our fellow man, and we forget how to live. You know,
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer that if we were to go back to biblical morals and to live by the golden rule, we wouldn't be in such a mess. To include politics.
definitely, definitely. I'm a firm believer. I'm a Christian, and I thank God for that faith. But even if I put myself in the secular perspective that there is no God, the
Yeah,
fear of God, even if there is no God, let's say, having the fear of something of consequence will prevent you from doing things that you otherwise would do. And this is what is happening right now. God is being pushed away from the
yeah,
school, or have been pushed away from this country. And it's biblical to know that God will punish those nations that stray away completely from him. And we are seeing some of those consequences already, in my opinion, in the USA. So I don't know. I don't know if sometimes I feel that people cannot think this crazy or this illogical, that maybe somebody's paying them, or our enemies of the United States are probably pumping money into the schools, into the media, to divide us, because divided we are easily conquered. Together, America will not be defeated easily.
yes. What you just said has, in my knowledge, it's already been proven that there are foreign entities, foreign sovereign countries that are funneling monies to certain individuals to create havoc, and they're doing it very well. They're doing it so well that most people don't know about it.
You
But
know, yeah, it makes sense.
you struck something in my mind where we're at the stage where we're reaping what we're sowing. We threw the Bible out of education many years ago. We go around doing things that are unmoral, and we expect everything to be all right. It doesn't work like that. If you have people that are, I'm going to use the word negative, they're creating negative um, uh, negative habits, negative um, bad moral judgments. There's no way that stuff is going to make things good, because it doesn't work like that. Any type of any philosopher, any doctor, any engineer, when they make something, when they build something, when they create something, it's it's using positive skills. It's never about destruction. So if we go around thinking that we're going to do good by causing things that destroy, we're living in la la land. It doesn't work like that. There's got to be a sacrifice, and there's got to be um, anything positive has to have some sort of sacrifice that it gives from yourself. For example, in my life, I had to learn that it's not about me. Things,
Hmm.
a man's purpose is to provide and to serve for his family. It's not for that their family and their wives and spouses can do everything that as a man, as a household member, I need everything done. I need this or whatever. It doesn't work like that. It's what John F. Kennedy said. Don't ask what your country can do for you. You ask what you can do for your country. And it's the same
Yeah,
family. It's the
and
same thing.
that's changing. That's changing so much, Manny, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually had some people that are like with college education and telling me that work is really not meant for human beings. Like they not supposed to work for a living.
I'm not supposed.
Somehow the state is supposed to take care of you. But who's gonna take care of the state if none of us are working?
That's my
Uh,
point exactly. I mean,
it's
if we all
unbelievable.
thought like that, where would we be? You know, it's unfortunate to what we see, but it's again, it's we're reaping what we're sowing. If that's what we
Yeah.
taught our children back in the day, when their minds were molding, why would we expect anything else?
Manny, and how do you still get around a lot of veterans? You still in
Yes,
that circle of veterans? How
yes.
do how do most veterans feel about all this thing? Do they feel similar to you and I,
In my
or they?
experience, and keep in mind, I've been working in some type of military base or another since 1990, and I'm still doing it. Now, I started working well with you right before you. I joined the Navy in 1990. I was 18 years old. Uh, I am now 53, and I am still working in military base. And what I see now is about 99% of veterans, they see what's going on, and it's hurtful. There's an exceptional few here and there that are kind of more a little bit radical, but
Mhm.
we are a mix of different peoples of different walks of life. But we come together and we do our jobs and we do it well, and we press on in the service of our country. Now, sometimes through conversations, I'll hear certain things, and well, that's their life and that's what they want, and it's that 2-year-old on steroids that want it their way, and somehow they've made it work amongst their families, or um, you know but I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying they can use a little push and positive guidance. But like you're saying, nobody's perfect, but there are people that think a little bit radical in as amongst veterans. And you know what, I guess that's okay, because like it has to keep everybody else on their toes, and you can't expect everybody to be the same. You can't please every. I learned this very early in the military, with you, when we were together. In a military unit, it's impossible to keep everybody happy.
Mhm.
You can't do that. You do what you mold yourself as a leader. You mold yourself to make everybody do what needs to be done mission wise. So you mold yourself to their needs so they can see what needs to be done, and then we all do it.
Well, that's why I think freedom of speech
Yeah,
is a risk right now, because people they agree with freedom of speech as long as you agreeing with them.
so you're absolutely
But
right.
the difficult part is agreeing with freedom of speech when somebody's saying something totally contrary to what you believe. That's why I don't have a problem with anybody's ideology, as long as that's what they believe, in their nature, and as long as it doesn't interfere with me. Because a lot of these moral things that you were talking about, some people might think that we just want everybody to be perfect, but no. What we want is to be able to raise our children the way we want to raise them. I don't need them to be trained or brainwashed in school. I don't send them to public
Correct.
school to be brainwashed
Correct.
into different ideologies or agenda or sex change or whatever it is. I'm sending them there for education, to learn how to read and write and math, nothing else. I don't need them to teach them anything else.
Yes.
And I just want to live my life, and you can live your life the way you want to live it.
What educators should do is they should ask the parent, what do you expect from us, teachers, educators, that your children should know when they leave the school year? Nobody ever does. They just assume that they need to learn about this and that, and over there and over here, and a lot of the stuff we would never even allow them to tell our kids. That's a lot of stuff that they tell them is our job. But
Well,
now they take the role of the parent, and they leave us out in the wind, and they don't even teach them the basic stuff that they really need to know.
Well, Manny, it gets a lot more dangerous than that, because today we have not only that they want children to decide for themselves, even when they're 4 or 5 years old, what sex change they want to have,
Know about
and
that.
and they don't even want the parents to know that their child is thinking about that. That
And
the school is gonna decide, I guess.
I will tell you this one: anything that happens in the dark, or when they're hiding things, most of the time they're not good. They
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would they be hiding it?
Let there be light.
Let there be light. That's true. Yeah.
So going into a different kind of points perspective about the political state. I mean, we are in election year.
Yes.
What are your feelings about that? I mean, I have to say, I used to trust a lot of things in the system. I felt really good about the freedom and the integrity of everything, and we have to be careful what kind of words we use because of the censorship. But you know, man, when you have a country like the United States that said that we cannot have voter ID because minorities like you and I or African American or different minority cannot, they have a hard time getting an ID. But then I see countries like third world countries like the Dominican Republic or any other Latin American country that you have to have a cedula or a voter ID that shows that you are a citizen, and you cannot get it unless you are a citizen. Of course, in our country, it could happen that you could get it no matter what because you pay somebody, but at least they required you to have a voter ID. And then we see things happening like in Connecticut recently, we had two two candidates that they had to cancel the election because there was massive fraud, mail-in ballot fraud, and everybody complains about mail-in ballot fraud, and they say it's not happening, but now we have proof that is happening. So if it could happen in a primary, it could definitely happen in the general. And there's a lot of different indicators that things did happen before without me going into too specific so we don't have to cut this video out.
Okay.
Uh, that I have a lot of concern for that. And also a lot of things that worry me is what happened with, now we have this laptop for Hunter Biden that was verified by the FBI, but it was denied. It was portrayed as Russian misinformation in the 2020 elections, something that could have shifted the results. And they had that laptop from 2019. So you telling me that the FBI could not verify a laptop for a whole year, and they say in the 2020 election, right before the 2020 election, that it was Russian misinformation? No, they all knew that it was real back then, and somehow they colluded to change what happened. Let me just say it that way.
Let me tell you what I do know. If you were to sit and do a little research, you would find out that it has been proven, and not just this country, many a country have done a lot of things for to get their people, their politicians in power, um, from murders to um, frauds of all kinds, to even to include uh, um, ballots that don't exist and ballots that come from dead people and all this other nonsense. The bottom line is that we are corrupt. The system is corrupt, and it needs a lot of improvement. Certainly, IDing people that say that they're residents or citizens of a country, that should be allowed. That should be required, because otherwise, you have people from um, all over the place that don't belong to a certain place that will bring out certain outcomes that are not desirable to the general population because they don't belong there. Um, Granted, if they want to be a part of the society or the civilization that they're living in, or the country that they live in, then they have to abide by the rules of that said country, and either um, like we used to say, in the military, you 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 shut up and color. I don't know if you know what that means, but you just do the progress of what you're required to do. If you don't like certain things, then you do actions to change them to get your way to get your point across. But you don't go around cheating and stealing your way into getting your point across. It's not, that's not right. Where are your morals? Where's the integrity? The integrity of this country is very, very shady nowadays. I mean, you know, and
Well,
I know that happens day in day out. That you hear this company did that, that company did that, this politician, that politician. Uh, we're a mess. We're a
yeah,
mess.
but it's just. I think there are system in place to do
Yes,
things to do things that it seems legal, but
you
it's not.
you hit the
For
nail right on the head. If they would just go back to basics, the way our forefathers already intended, things would run much smoother. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is already turning. It's already going around.
yeah.
All you got to do is push it a little bit from here and there, and everything should work smoothly.
Well, when it comes to voter ID, what happened is this. This is what I see. This is my experience. I worked in health insurance, and you go on there and you register some people. You are actually asked to put if they are citizen or not, and you do. And then if they're not a citizen, you marking that down, and then you have to add the paperwork, the green card or whatever. But at
Yes.
the very end, they might be legal resident, but that doesn't mean that they are citizen. There seems to be a confusion by a lot of people, even the media. Sometimes they think you are either illegal or you a citizen. No, I joined the military and I was not a citizen. I was a
Same with me.
legal resident.
Yes,
And so if all I have to do is show an ID when I go vote, it doesn't mean that I'm a citizen.
correct.
It could be a driver's license, but I don't have to be a citizen to have a driver's license. Nowadays, even illegals are having driver's license.
Yes,
So what I was getting across is that you, even at the end, when you already told them you're not a citizen, they still ask you if you want to register to vote.
see,
Why? You know how easy it is. I was a programmer for 20 years. You know how easy it is for a programmer to know that you should not ask that question at the end when you already know that he doesn't qualify to vote.
it's by design to try to get an acquired effect.
Exactly,
But it's not right.
exactly.
It's not right.
But the system should have checks to prevent that. Even
It does.
somebody doing something that they don't intend to do anything wrong. But we already have evidence of people being caught on video trying to pull massive fraud, especially in swing states.
Yes. Like I said, if you do a little research, this has been going on for quite some time. This is not the first administration, and I regrettably, um, it seems like our integrity, and I'm talking with a military mind. Where's our integrity? We don't have any shame anymore. It's a sad situation. It's a fact. Um, I pray to God that it'll change, because we need our morals. It's a moral attack. It's just one of those things that, without it, it's going to create a lot of problems, and that's what we're seeing.
Manny, a few years ago, I did a video. I don't know if I took it down or not, but I did a short video. In that video, I say Donald Trump will not be president again, after he lost the 2020 election. I
Okay.
say he will not be president again unless God is predestined that he will be president again, because they will do it. This is before everything that's happened this year and last year happened. The Department of Justice and DNC or whatever, and the media, they will do whatever they can to stop that from happening.
Yes.
But I had no idea how bad it was gonna get. And that's my opinion. So I like to get your perspective on that.
That's a little worrisome, because if they can do things that they've done to that gentleman unjustly, can you imagine? And they have already done a lot of stuff that is just not right to other citizens of this country. But if they can do it to him in broad daylight in the media, that should worry everybody. Uh, I, for one, I can see Donald Trump as president. I think he'll do a good job. Is he a perfect man? Absolutely not. Neither
No.
am I. Neither are you. It's one of those things that whoever hasn't sinned, can cast the first stone. But the gentleman knows what he's doing. He's not political per se. He's business, and that's what this country needs. And he doesn't mess around. He'll tell you what it is. You might not want to hear it, but he'll tell you how things are like, and how he's going to fix things. And he's we well, if you do your research, you'll find that he's actually been one of the best presidents we've ever had. But nobody boasts about that. He's done a lot of good things for this country.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. And he was not my candidate in 2016. I didn't think he was going to be governing so conservatively. I thought actually that he may be lying about what he was going to do as a conservative. So I thought Ted Cruz was a better choice in 2016. But after everything that they threw at him, especially the fake Russian collusion investigation that was started by Hillary Clinton and the FBI had a lot to do with that too because they allowed it to happen even though they knew it was fake.
yes.
So after they threw all that at him, I say, wow, I'm glad that it wasn't Ted Cruz because he was never going to be able to. He probably would have to resign or something if
You
they.
know what?
If I don't
You,
think anybody else would have kept up with all of this.
you brought something to my mind that I've been thinking about. You see, God designs everything, in my opinion. No, biblically. If you're a servant of God, He designs everything for you. Everything that happens to you or not happens to you is because He designed it. If you're not a servant of God, then you're open game for everything. But I, what you said, it happened to Trump because he was going to be able to withstand it. He was going to be able to stand fast and hold back all that nonsense, take it, absorb it, and come out. In my opinion, he's looking better than he ever has. Had this happened to anybody else, my goodness, yeah, you're right. They would have tore them to shreds. But
Yeah.
I think Trump is strong enough to take just about everything that they can throw at him and still keep his sanity, his health, and his family together. That is exceptional. Of all that nonsense they threw at him, and he can still hold all that and walk tall because he has. That right there, that's sort of a miracle itself.
Eh,
It's that happens only with God's help.
Do you think that So this is a thought that came to mind because sometimes we try to separate the secular
Yeah,
us from
yeah,
the spiritual us.
I
as
agree.
a Christian, sometimes I discuss with pastors and things like that, and of priests and things like that, and I say, and I'm having this doubt, like, should I just focus on the gospel and Christ and forget about all this? And a lot of myself want to go that way, and I will have a much easier time, let's say, just focusing on God. But we still live in this country, we still live on this earth. And I don't think as Christian we are supposed to leave everything in God's hands. I think He wants us to fight for justice. And I think it says it in His word that, blessed are those who fight for justice.
Yes, I agree.
So I think we have to remember that we are Christian and not stress. Try not to stress, which is
I,
humanly hard to do.
I like
But
the
at
passage.
this,
I got to tell you, I like the passage of the Bible that says, "Don't worry about nothing. Just pray for everything. You'll be fine."
yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, God is in control of everything, so we do have to remind ourselves as Christians, as believers, to not grow anxious and to focus on the family, to focus on God, but
Yeah.
try to do the best we can. I think I heard someone say, and I don't remember the person that was saying something. I was watching a podcast, I believe, that somebody was saying sometimes people may hate Christian not because we are so Christian, or maybe because we act so much like Christian, maybe because we don't act like Christians most of the time. And I think that's what we try to do because the thing is, we have to remember. For example, Donald Trump, he's not perfect, and it's obvious that he's not. And a lot of people think that Christians are holding Trump as the model for our children, and we're not. We know, but the thing is, as Christians, we know the favor that God has on us without us deserving what He did for us on the cross. We have to remember that the thing is that some of us are veto pretenders. Some of us keep things to ourselves. And there's a lot of Christians, I'm telling you, that are true Christians that if you knew everything that they have done or that we have done, they will probably put Trump to shame. So that's what Trump is just more of an open book
He's an open
than
book.
we are.
I'm glad that you asked all that and you said all that. Um, I will share that I understand that we're not perfect. I
Hmm.
understand that we will never be perfect, not even after we face death. It's not after we're given a new body that we reach perfection.
Hmm.
So it brings me back to this. Trump is not perfect. He's not supposed to be perfect. Neither is any other politician. What I do like about Trump is that I got a couple notes here, and let me just put my glasses on.
Sure.
What I do like about Trump is that he loves his country. He loves our people. He's proved time and time again that it doesn't matter what color you are. He's shown mercy. He's shown love to people of all walks of life. Um, he's not a true politician. However, he can do the jobs politician. He does it better than most politicians. Um, he is a businessman, and as far as right now, he's a family man. And he's a good family man. And like I said, he's keeping all that together, um, despite all the nonsense that he's going through. So my hat's off to the gentleman. He's doing a great job, and I wish him well. You know, we pray for him, and hope to see him in office.
I hope so too. One thing that concerns me about Trump is because of everything that has been done to him. And the thing is, it's so easy to actually see that this is political what's being done to him, because if you go back and see what happened to him with the Russian collusion investigation, I mean, I have friends that told me they were really doubting voting for him because of that in 2016. It turns out it was fake. So that he probably could have won by a lot more votes in 2016 if that was not going around. And with him, I feel that like what you were saying, that he loves America. So like if he has a bomb on top of the earth, on top of the United States, I trust him to hold it off more than I do other presidents in recent history. I know that he loves this country. I know that he wants to keep it strong. I have no doubt with him. But I'm saying is you could look at the history already. You have a lot of evidence. The laptop, what the FBI did with the laptop, what the media has done. They have not apologized for the Russian collusion on CNN and MSNBC for having that every day. Yet when Trump comes to speak, they cut him off because they say that in their network they cannot accept so many lies. But what happened to them for 3 years?
Well, it, you got to admit a lot of shady stuff going on, which brings me to my thought process of the other night where I was thinking about this. I realized this: all the administrations, to include this one, that we're the present administration. It seems to me that all they care about is making their cash money now, and Trump is not like that because he's not a politician. So what he's used to businesses. He's making business. He doesn't have to be a president to be a businessman. What I'm trying to say is that the current administration and other administrations like that, they take the seat of presidency to make them money for their families themselves, line their pockets, and they know they have a set time, whether 4 years or a second term, it'll take them to 8 years. So they do what they can as politicians to make their money. And Trump is not like that because he doesn't have to be president to make money. As a matter of fact, he makes more money not being president.
Mhm.
So to me, it it makes little sense. But in the long run, Trump knows what he's doing. Another thing I understand is I believe he is Anglican. Anglican is, of course, his religion is Anglican, and so he knows a lot of the stuff that is biblical, that is prophetic in the future. And I think he feels that by him being president, he can't stop it, but he can certainly give America some time for the people that maybe need help, spiritual help, to really find find Christ and start living better, and to make the strong. The closer you are to God, the closer your family is, and the stronger you are, and that includes communities and cities and stuff. But so the stronger you are in faith and hope, the more you have to hold on to, and that just makes the country stronger. I mean, look at the Jews, look at Israel. They are they are Jew. They're. I know most of them are not Christian. However, look at the unity that they have within themselves.
Hmm.
Most people are strong. They've been used to thousands of years of, of abuse from other nations. Um, from the you can use the Amalekites to the Egyptians enslaving them. They're just used to such unity that and they cling to each other and they cling to God or Yahweh, Jehovah, uh, and that just brings them that sense of belonging. And I hope I'm making myself clear, but the stronger you are with God, your community, the stronger your country. And right now we're in a disarray. We don't know which way is up and down. We don't know if you want the red, the blue, Democratic, Republic, or independent. It's almost like every dog for himself here, and it's sad.
Yeah, it's not like I always try to be objective in the fact that I'm praying that the Democratic Party as a whole will come back a little bit and fear the consequences a little bit of their craziness, the agendas that they're pushing right now. Because
Yes,
I don't want, I identify myself with Elon Musk, that he has always been leaning left or leaning Democrat, but it's like the Democratic Party went so far to the left, and I'm afraid too that that is going to push people to the right too far, because we can, it's a whole circle. We can all do the same thing. We can be a dictatorship because we went too far to the right. We can be a dictatorship because we go too far to the left. Right now, we are leaning way to the
we're about
left. The ship is going to sink. We
I,
got to push to the right to level the ship. And what I was going to say before, that it remind me, because I do have memory lapses sometimes, uh,
with you
is
too.
that I fear that Donald Trump might, he might do things to get revenge, because we are humans, if he becomes president again. But the problem is that he's gonna have to do something. Even if he does everything right, he has to dismantle a lot of the top leadership in the Department of Justice. He has
I,
to dismantle the FBI, the CIA. So that's gonna seem to be retroactive, or vengeance or revenge. But that's not. He has to fix that.
I agree with you. I was just about to disagree with you, but I agree with you because I don't think Trump would do that as a revenge thing. I think he'll do what he needs to do because it needs to be fixed.
I hope. I pray to God, because as a human being, I think I'm just trying to be transparent here, because sometimes people do stuff to you, and you
Yeah.
really got to try to stop and pray, and ask God to help you not get revenge, because it's a natural human
Yes,
thing
you're
to
right.
do, to try to get revenge. And I am praying to God that Donald Trump actually holds back and just do the right thing. But I'm saying it now, before it happens. When he goes and dismantle the Department of Justice, don't be saying CNN and MSNBS that he's actually retaliating. He's not. He's gonna be
But
fixing things.
yeah, but you know that they're going to twist it though.
Yes, of
The
course.
media is going to twist it to make him look bad in any which way they can. That's what they do. They've been doing that ever since he was any type of a political realm. They were trying to bash him, and they still are. So I wouldn't expect him to do anything different because, again, we're dealing with um, a corrupt system, no integrity. It's all about themselves. It's all about their greed. It's all about their
Yep.
convenience. I was in the military for 21 years. For me, of what I've seen and what has God has got me out of, I would be such a coward to say that God, the creator of my soul, the lover of my soul, doesn't love me. I would be such a coward. So yeah, I'll gladly talk about God and His Son Christ, that has done so much for people like us. And you know what? And that's what He does. And I love Him and I appreciate Him. And I'll keep on trucking, baby steps if I have to. But I'll never be ashamed of God. It's His and His love for me.
How do you feel when, because this is coming to Joe Biden now? Big mistake. Was it Joe Biden's fault even in 2021 when we pull out of Afghanistan? I have a dear, let me refrain from saying any specific about this veteran, but he said he is, well, over 20-year veteran, let's say. That was the saddest day of his military career, the
Yeah,
way we pull out of Afghanistan, because even a novice, even a regular soldier would never make such mistake to just, that the United States had no need to pull out
no.
shamefully like they did of Afghanistan. I mean, Afghans that were friends to us, they were actually willing to risk their life trying to grab onto the
Oh,
airplane, and
they
they
did.
died.
Plenty of them died. It strikes a chord in any type of any veteran of any branch, because we all know that veterans, as military, we are not we are not taught, designed to just tuck our tail and just like, oh, we're done, we got to run here,
Correct,
all this.
correct.
We left so much weaponry there that it is unreal. This
Shameful.
would have this kind of thing would have never happened if there was a Kennedy, with Kennedy, or Reagan, or that poor Biden. Sometimes I can't feel but to feel sorry for the guy, because I don't even think he knows what's going on.
Oh, definitely not right now.
Probably some sort of puppet. Um, who dangles the strings can be anybody's guess. Um, the poor fella don't even know what to think about the guy. Can't even feel mad against him, because he's just, like I said, he's just a puppet. But the way everything was done and handled, shameful. And
Yeah.
again, I ask, where is the integrity?
And that was so bad that the generals could not even hold back. They
No.
actually had to speak up and say that they advised Biden to keep 2,500 soldiers behind. That was such a shameful thing that, normally you will hold your mouth closed because of the your boss is the one that made the mistake, right? But they actually did not hold back. Even General Miley, right? I think it was, that say no. We actually
A few
advised
of
him to
them,
keep 2,500 soldiers.
to my knowledge, there was a couple. One in particular that actually got in trouble and probably ended up in some sort of holding facility. I don't know if he's in jail or whatever, but he was speaking out greatly against what happened, and he needed answers. And I think he even went into some seclusion for a while. And I don't quite remember his name, but um, I think he was a Marine Corps officer, not a general, but some high-ranking individual that he was not happy, and it was sad. It and it still is, and it's going to affect our.
It's affecting already.
Oh, it's going to affect us for years. I imagine that I tell people that'll listen to me, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and if I'm right, I'm right. But we left enough weaponry there to start one of the biblical wars that the Bible talks about against
Yeah.
Israel.
And the thing is, not only that, Manny, it's the visibility, the image that
Yeah,
was portrayed of weakness by the United States. As a veteran, that's sad because you know that you can put yourself in the enemy's shoes. When you see that, what do you see? Weakness.
yeah.
Someone who is, you can cross the red line, like with Obama. You can cross the red line anytime, and there will be no consequences. Because if they mess it up so bad with a small power, like it was in Afghanistan, the Taliban, if they could be so worthless, so
Yeah.
deficient with such a low opponent. What
Yeah.
about with Russia? What about with Iran? What about with China?
Well,
That's what the enemy is thinking.
let me add this to your train of thought. I worry for our military now because the next time they try to go out there and do what we did, they're going to face their own weaponry and
Yeah,
knows what we left behind there that regular civilians don't know about. Our military, in my opinion, set up for failure. It's sad.
yeah.
It's
Well,
sad.
you could definitely see the decay of the American Empire now, just like we did with the Roman Empire, and it's being brought down by our own people, not by the enemies. Well, maybe the enemy has something to do with influence, but not directly. That's indirectly, but it's definitely we could definitely see the fall of the empire unless something happens, and we all have to pray that this does not happen because we have children that we want to have a full
Yes.
and fruitful life in what the United States represents freedom, freedom of speech. And I think we must all fight for it. So I don't know. I want to leave it at that. I want to respect your time, Manny. Thank you so much.
Can I?
Anything else you want to add?
Thank you so much for asking. I was just wanting to read a little verse out of the Bible that might tie this in and seal this here for us. I'm reading out of Ephesians. This is chapter 6, verse 24. I am sorry. Ephesians 6, verse 12. It says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." I think that's the bottom line, is that we as a human race don't know who the common enemy is. And we leave too much for our convenience, for our greed, and we reach out to the evil one, not knowing the consequences of our actions. And you know, I pray that God gives us the strength, the courage, and the knowledge, the thirst and the hunger to go after, to search after the good things of God and to implement them in our lives. And that, I guarantee you, will have an outcome to all this nonsense that we're seeing in a better way. That's
Thank
that's a
you.
promise of God.
Thank
So
you, Manny. I hope to that we can have a discussion again in Spanish, and I also will ask the audience and you Manny, if you know any other veterans that might want to share their story. And I apologize, I know that time sometimes can run very much, and I didn't get to ask you about your personal feelings, your career in the Navy and then Air Force, and we definitely thank you for that. For you are the true hero because I only served 4 years active, and then a little bit in the Air Force Reserve, but you are the real deal. This is what I tell my cousin. He went to visit me in the Miramar base in San Diego in '96,
I
and
remember.
I didn't know that he was gonna be the real deal. An army is being in the army so long, and he was the real deal. I left.
Well, Juan, you suffered right alongside with me for a period of time, and you did your duty. I did mine. Probably, if we had to do it again, we most more than likely we would, for the love of
we,
this nation.
we're gonna keep doing it now. Now we're gonna have to
Yes.
speak up. So this
Yes.
is what I want. I want any veterans
Yes.
that is seeing this to reach out to us. We're gonna share the email here on screen so that they can reach to me that they want to come on and share their story and talk about what's happening. It doesn't matter what perspective. I want everyone to speak up. I respect all veterans. It doesn't matter whether you have ideologies that are totally opposite to what I have. I want to
Yes.
be as objective as possible because we need everyone to speak up. Because the main thing that I do not want to speak to anybody that wants to destroy America. If the intentions are that you want to destroy this country, the future of this country, then I don't need to speak to you because we are totally not on board with that. But
Yeah.
if you have different ideologies that you think will get us to a better place, I could definitely speak to you.
I got
This is about keeping the United States of America. I don't
yeah.
want to get right now. We getting to the point that I feel we're gonna be a blue states of America and a red states of America. We cannot keep going this way, and we must hold the media accountable because if the media in general, if the liberal and the mainstream media was objective and telling us the truth, we will not be so divided right now.
I have plenty of veteran friends, uh, a surplus of them. I've been around them all my life, and they're still around. So, as far as what you said, I agree with 100% of everything that you have said. There's a lot of turmoil, a lot of problems in this country that stem from one end to the other. Too many to even do in a week's worth of podcasts. But I agree with what you're doing. I'll pray for your endeavor here for protection
Thank
for
you.
you, your family, and press on, bro. That's what you do. It's not only your duty, but it's I'm sure you can consider it a privilege. And so, go for it, my friend. And
Thank you, thank you. And maybe someday we can come back with a few VF-211 checkmates and talk about those times.
that means
Do you have contact with Guerrero, Martinez? I
uh,
know I'm in contact on Facebook with Lynch and Rudder.
I do remember Cameron. I do have contact with Cameron from time to time. Um,
And how about Calamar?
no,
Calaman or Calamar?
it's Calamar. No,
I had his number. Somehow I lost it. He was someone like you. He was so good. He was Filipino. He took me under his wings too. He taught me so much.
yeah,
Great person. Calamar or Calaman. I think it's Calaman.
Calaman, Calaman,
Calaman, if you
Calaman.
are seeing this video from BF211 Checkmates, reach out to me. I want to get back. I want our friendship to connect again because you are a great person, just like Manny. Manny, thank you so much for this, but thank you so much for being a friend, and thank you for your service. Thank you for your service and for fighting for freedom for the future of this country. Thank you so much.
Likewise, same to you, eh? Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us in this podcast, Bet for Unity. We hope to have your support to share this video, to share the podcast, and to invite all the veterans for us to come on board and speak up. And this is for everyone, all veterans. And I'm going to have people that are not veterans also, but speaking for unity, speaking for freedom, for the future of America, because we all have children and we want them to have a fruitful life just like we did for all the opportunities that this country has given us. I came from the Dominican Republic in 1987 with my parents, and this has been a blessing. Anything, I take full responsibility for every failure that I had, but I also thank God and I thank America for all the blessings that I have and for my family, for the home that we have in America, and all the opportunity that was given to us. Maybe I didn't take advantage, or I have not taken advantage of all the blessings that I have in this country, but I am sure thankful for everything that I have. Thank you. God bless America, and hope to see you next time. Take care.